This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. X is a symbol that we all see prominently used in Hollywood, whether it's movies like the X-Men, whether it's triple X, X-rated films, whether it's Twitter being renamed to X, or if it's just celebrities constantly showing up on magazine covers, crossing their arms in the form of an X. The X is a very significant symbol used in the occult, in Freemasonry, and of course this has everything to do with Luciferian worship and the coming of the Antichrist. But like most symbols, there's dual meanings to this symbol X. Now let's start with the word transformation, because it's one of the most common terms that we see used in the occult. Transformation. You may remember some videos from the past that I've done talking about that word transformation, whether it's Beyonce, Rihanna, they all use this word transformation.
My voice is my power.
Your face emerges from the shadows. The transformation is coming.
And you're actually seeing a literal transformation right now in humanity when it comes to human beings' genetic code and genetic structure. The X is a symbol for that. It is a symbol for change. And it's been long associated with the, quote, Messiah who shall make all things new. And that Messiah that I'm referencing, that they call the Messiah, is not Jesus Christ. It is the Antichrist. Now, also, we see the symbol X used as a sign of the Egyptian god Osiris, who we know they obviously worship. They worship all of these Egyptian deities. We also see the X used in Freemasonry and the Kabbalah, which really are all one and the same. A lot of these secret societies like Freemasonry, they're really studying a lot of the teachings that are inside of the Kabbalah. And the symbol X is used in a lot of their initiation rituals, specifically the 17th degree of Freemasonry. Now, in modern pop culture, we've seen celebrities who have openly talked about the Kabbalah, like Madonna, wear an eye patch with the letter X over her eye, which has dual meaning, of course, because not only is she talking about worship of the coming Antichrist, their Messiah, and as we all know, the all-seeing eye symbolism, which is associated with Egyptian gods like Horus, which is really the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. We know in the book of Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 17, woe to the worthless shepherd who leaves the flock. A sword will be on his arm and on his right eye. His arm will be totally withered and his right eye will be blind. Sometimes they will do this with the opposite eye because it depends on the perspective that you're looking at it from. In the case of Madonna, she often wears the eye patch on the other eye. But from our perspective, looking at Madonna, it is the right eye. But nonetheless, this is an ode to her god, or his god, Lucifer. We've seen Stephen King taking photographs literally inside what look like Masonic lodges, doing his ode to Osiris. Stephen King, his teachings, his writings, do you think that he's in the position that he's in because he's such a transformational writer? Or is it because his job is to condition the masses with a lot of the occultic agendas and the worship of Lucifer through all the things that he promotes and glorifies in his books and in his films? And we've seen some of the collages of a lot of celebrities doing the X mark over their chest. Now, there's some people who will see somebody with their arms crossed in a pose. I'm sure you've all sat around your home and crossed your arms thinking about something at some point in time. But these are all strategically done photographs, like the all-seeing eye symbolism is as well, where they're on magazine covers, album covers, they're being promoted, and you could see that they're actually holding up an X. You can see Matt Damon, you could see Robin Williams, Chris Brown in some of these photographs, Jerry Seinfeld, which would surprise a lot of people, but that, again, the X going back to the Kabbalah. Jerry Seinfeld, just like his friend Michael Richards from the show Seinfeld, they're all in on it, right? We see Michael Richards on the cover of Scottish Rite magazine. We know that he is a prominent Shriner, okay? Of course, he was playing into that whole racial debate, racial divide, and was let off the hook. Of course he was, because they came out and spun a racial tirade that he did on screen, but that was actually planted in as part of the racial division. Michael Richards caused a lot of that. He's another Mason. He's untouchable, just like Jerry Seinfeld. We've seen, obviously, a bunch of other celebrities hold up the X sign. It's not one that people look for all the time. You could see Ashton Kutcher right on the cover of a magazine holding up the X sign, even wearing that red bracelet, which we all know what that stands for. And of course, Kutcher's been out in the open wearing his Freemason hat right in front of everybody's faces, and they think it's nothing more than a crazy conspiracy that we talk about all of these people in positions of prominence and power and wealth and influence, how they're all members of these secret societies, and they want you to think it's just a crazy conspiracy because it's easier for you to think that than to actually realize the people who are worshipped here on earth all worship Lucifer, and they're indoctrinating you to worship Lucifer. We even see Simon Cowell in that collage holding up an X. We've seen Simon Cowell before. I've done separate videos on him. He even has a jet ski with the Freemasonic logo right on it. So you could see photographs in Freemasonry of the 17th degree where they're all folding their arms in the same exact manner. You can look at a lot of the Egyptian tombs and see this with Osiris and other Egyptian gods. You can even see Taylor Swift and Miley Cyrus, doing their baptisms in their bathtubs, right? I've talked often about the blood baptism, the bathtub symbolizing baptism and rebirth, spiritual rebirth. They don't have to use blood when they're on magazine covers. I think people would be a little bit turned off if they saw Taylor Swift, and I don't mean turned off like that. I mean, a lot of parents out there probably wouldn't let their kids listen to Taylor Swift. If Taylor Swift was doing some type of bloodbath on a magazine cover, it might make them say, you know what, this doesn't seem so cookie cutter or family friendly. So they do things like this. They do it in jewels. They do it in black goo. They'll do it in water. They'll do it in other colors of paint like Miley Cyrus is doing. Again, this is them showing their allegiance and their baptism to Lucifer and of the coming Antichrist. So when we look at a lot of the celebrities, they do this and get away with it all the time, right in front of us, doing this type of posing. And if we look even more at the transformation meaning, let me read a part from Tex Mars's book, Codex Magica, which goes into detail about the X symbol in the chapter called Cross My Heart and Hope to Die. And he talks about 33rd degree Freemason Jim Tresner, who writes in the Scottish Rite Journal. He says, Tresner goes on to suggest that the X representing the Roman numeral 10 also symbolizes the 10 yuds or manifestations of the Jewish Kabbalah's tree of life. He notes that the candidate for this degree wears two cordons, one black in color, the other white, which symbolizes the duality of Masonic doctrine. Again, remember, I cover that with the black and white Masonic checkerboard floor, the clothing that they wear in a lot of these music videos, that's what it symbolizes. Quote, the fact that they cross each other, Tresner explains, suggests the unions of opposites or equilibrium. Ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos. Again, a motto of Freemasonry. You're seeing it play out right now in real time, in the real world. It says, quote, in crossing, says Tresner, they form an X shape. X, he observes, is an ancient symbol for transformation. This degree, Tresner concludes, provides a spiritual jolt or jump start in preparation for the transformation, refinement, and redefinition to come. Tresner chooses his words very carefully and very deliberately, but Christians who have studied the book of Revelation will intuit and understand what he is hinting at. I believe he is telling the Masonic candidates that this degree, in which the mark of X is prominent, is to prepare them to wage war against true Christians and to exalt their man-king as the events prophesied in Bible prophecy roll forward. Naturally, Tresner would probably deny this, meaning, so I leave it to you, the reader, to discern. However, the Masonic author of the authoritative Richardson's Monitor of Freemasonry no doubt lets the cat out of the bag, so to speak, by detailing how during the ritual ceremony for the degree of Knight of the East and West, the sacred word is given to the assembled members of the lodge. That sacred word is a shocker. It is Abaddon. Yes, Abaddon is the sacred word for the Masonic Knights of East and West, and the Holy Bible reveals exactly who Abaddon is in Revelation chapter 9, verse 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. In Richardson's Monitor of Freemasonry, it is revealed that following the announcement of the sacred word, Abaddon, the lodge drama from his fateful degree, provides a demonstration intended to represent the end of the world. It goes on to say that one thing is for sure, the Masonic Order uses the X not only for the revelatory 17th degree of Knights of East and West, but for others as well. In the Royal Arch's super excellent master's degree, the first sign given in the crossing is the crossing of the hands over the breast/chest. The sign refers to the penalty assessed if any secrets learned are ever divulged. Then in the ritual ceremony for the select master degree, the second sign is made by crossing the hands and arms just below the neck and dropping them downward quickly. Again, this is a reminder of the disclosure penalty, which is to have the body butchered and quartered. In the ritual for the initiate secretary degree, an X pattern is employed. Richardson's monitor of Freemasonry reveals what happens in the lodge. The brethren now fall, each on his right knee, and they cross their hands and hold them up so that the tomb of the right hand touches the left temple and the left thumb the right temple. And again, the X is a symbol of death. The X is a symbol for lust and sex. We see obviously X, X, X. None of these things are there at random. They all have occult origins, right? The Egyptian connection to Osiris, right? The ancient pharaohs, when they were buried, they had their legs crossed in the form of an X as well. And you see a lot of the tombs, like I mentioned earlier, that have the arms crossed in the symbol of the X. But it's very important to remember what I said earlier in the video. The X is an ancient symbol for transformation. It's long been associated with the coming of the Messiah who shall make all things new. And there's a reason that the X is used so prominently in Hollywood, on album covers. There's people like even Ed Sheeran who have albums with the letter X, right? We know Twitter, like I said earlier, has turned into X. It's right in front of our faces. It's a very obvious symbol. What do you think? They go through the alphabet? And the X looks like the coolest symbol possible. I mean, you can even see with the logo that Twitter uses now for X, how one line is white and one line is black, trimmed in white. Like I had mentioned earlier when I was reading from Tex Mars's book about the significance of those colors, of black and white, of duality. And again, we've had shows like the X-Files, right? We have the Xbox, right? And who invented the Xbox? Microsoft. And we all know what side of this war Bill Gates is on. Now, he might not be the one who takes sole responsibility for the Xbox, but it came out of Microsoft, and Microsoft came out of the rear end of Bill Gates. So the X is another one of these symbols that we always see. And like a lot of the symbols, they have meanings that are dual, but they always seem to go back to transformation and spiritual rebirth, right? I've covered the Xfinity sign before that we always see. And I'm just, I try to point out to people like, oh no, it's just the Xfinity sign. I'm like, well, what do you think it's reused over and over and over again? Infinite is what we learned that it means, right? Yeah, we see all these corporations use these same logos. They use the X, they use the pyramid, they use the all-seeing eye. How many times have we seen these symbols used over and over by corporations? The pentagram being the most common, the five-pointed star. All of these symbols are among us, and signs and symbols rule the world, not words or laws. And these people go out of their way on magazine covers to show you these things all the time. And again, what's interesting to note is that in Freemasonry, how this is one of the symbols used during the initiate of the 17th degree, and how it has dual meanings even to them, right? The meaning to them also, in addition to Osiris, in addition to transformation, is also a threat to them. That symbol, that oath that they take to one another, that vow that they take, that if they disclose any of the stuff that they learn through Freemasonry, that the X really just stands for the fact that they're going to be butchered, or as the book said, quartered, cut into little pieces, right? And how many times have we seen that? If you didn't see the video I did on Mozart, which is available obviously on the website, he's a perfect example of that. If these people were really to break away from their brotherhood and reveal these things to the public, especially someone who's famous, they will not live to tell about it. That's why when I talk about these celebrities who come out, everyone's like, they broke away. Britney broke free. So-and-so broke free. Kanye's free. He's loose. It's all by design. None of these people live to speak about it. Just ask Mozart. who was rumored to be turning on his brotherhood right before his mysterious death. And of course, the whole tale of Mozart that everybody remembers is how his dog was following his coffin to his cemetery for his burial, and nobody attended. It was a lonely funeral for poor old Mozart. It was lonely because they didn't allow anybody to attend, because he betrayed the secret oath. So, transformation, Osiris, Antichrist, the coming Messiah. This is what the X symbol means to them. And this is what it means when we see these people on magazine covers, right? I think we're at a point in time where if you see Taylor Swift in a bathtub with her arm folded in X, or Michael Jackson or Miley Cyrus, I mean, all the people that we've seen over the years, that people should go, what are they doing? Why is Jerry Seinfeld making an X? Why is Chris Brown making an X? Just like, why are they putting their hand over their eye? But things in our society have become so dumbed down because of the technology and the things that they have control over, and as far as people's minds go. And of course, because of the way they spin propaganda, so that people think that anyone talking about this stuff are all tinfoil hat wearers. They come out on national TV, they mock people like us, and then they silence people like us, which is the equivalent of, you might as well kill us off, because if you don't have a voice in this world, if they silence your right to free speech, how are you going to get any truth out there? So this is what they do, okay? But this is another symbol that we see in front of us all the time that nobody ever discusses. And if you think Elon Musk isn't one of them, if you think he picked SpaceX and then X for Twitter, and you don't realize the black and white duality in the logo, then you're not paying attention, or you're allowing yourself to be blind of the lies of this world. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.